Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games at our new non-game day time here, 4 o'clock. Thank you all for joining us. Joining me today, to my left, it is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on today, Chuck? How was your weekend?
It wasn't bad. It's good to see you in a place that is in Allentown. Last time I saw you, we were at Brew Daddy's.
I got to tell you, I know we've had a lot of fun, especially with the Kolosov situation, making fun of Allentown. And it's not, I wouldn't say the most happening metropolis. Is it Philadelphia? No. But I had a wonderful time. I had a great time. I thought Brew Daddy's was great. Shout out to everyone there. Chris, the bartender, who's a regular listener, and all of our fans and all the staff there made it a great time. I thought PPL Center was fun. The games were a great time. Went over, saw Beetlejuice, had some time to kill after checkout on Saturday before the game.
Had
a nice lunch.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice 2.
It's Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I will.
Had a nice lunch over there, saw a move. I thought it was fine. It was, in terms of minor league towns, I don't see how you could do, I guess, Hershey, because there's a theme park, but
And a lot of chocolate.
Yeah, I thought it was completely acceptable. I don't know what Alexei Kolosov's problem is, quite honestly.
You got to ask him. Except you can't because he's not here. And he can't speak English. But even if he could speak English, he's not here.
But the reason we were in Allentown, and thanks to all of our diehards who won tickets who came out, that was a great time as well. The reason we were there was for the rookie series, Charlie. Flyers lose game 1 in a shootout 4-3, but headline is Matvei Michkov scores his first exhibition goal as a Philadelphia Flyer.
Sure did.
And then without him, so trade him, I guess. On Saturday, they win 3-2 in overtime on Tuomaala's winner. Just overall impressions of the weekend, and then we'll get into some guys specifically.
Well, you made the joke about they lost with Michkov. To be clear, they played way, way better on Friday than they did on Saturday.
Considerably.
Way better.
Yes.
They played like crap for most of Saturday's game.
My biggest takeaway, and Michkov did some impressive things, but I don't know what my expectations were. I don't know how he could have, when you're up here, to be blown away, he'd actually have to, blow up the building. I don't know. It would have to be something insane for him to actually blow me away. Mm-hmm. It was on Saturday when I saw the almost exact same team without him that I was like, oh.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he was clearly one of the best guys out there. He was one of the most poised guy. But yeah, they were definitely better on Friday.
I'm actually curious because I don't know. I'm surprised. I was surprised when I read the outline that you came away disappointed because I didn't, and maybe the discrepancy here is that I didn't come in with the expectation, and we've discussed this way too much last week. Sure. I didn't come in with the expectation that he's already an elite NHL player. Yeah. Maybe you did. That probably plays into why I came away being like, yeah, he was great. And you're like, he was all right, I guess.
No. It wasn't that he was just all right. It was I guess I probably just expected Mario, first 3 shifts, 3 goals. Okay. And it was wasn't that. But it's not as if he didn't create chances. It's not as if when he was out there, it wasn't very clear he was on the ice. He did some stuff that was very, very impressive, some slick little things. I thought the thing that stood out most to me about him, in the 3-on-3, his first shift, I thought he was lost in space a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe, it's chemistry, it's code. They haven't done this together before, but I thought some of his coverage was weird. He just kind of looked lost. Every time he was in tight, especially with the puck, I was like, oh, wow, this guy's he's something. Yeah. That was really my big, the big space game, that's going to take some time maybe, and he's going to be a highlight reel player at some point in his career, and that'll really stand out. But some of the little things he was doing out there, I was like, this dude is freaking good. And then on Saturday without him, I was like, oh, yeah, it was a night and day performance for the Phantoms, I thought, between Friday and Saturday. And they were not the same team. And there were a few differences. Bjarnson only played, I think, the first period, and then he came out.
Oliver Bonk did not play the second.
Bonk didn't play the second. He's obviously one of their top prospects. Right. But it was considerably different without him. He was very, very good.
I thought the big discrepancy between the two games. And I truly do. Because 5-on-5, look, Michkov got a lot of ice time. They double shifted him in the third period of Friday's game, but he's only on one of 4 lines. It's not like you can just say, well, he was the reason why they were good at 5-on-5 on Friday and they were bad at 5-on-5 on Saturday. That was not the reason. There were other reasons. There were other lines, other guys that did not play as well on Saturday as they played on Friday, and they were guys who didn't play with Michkov. So I'm not going to totally put that on the absence of Michkov. What I will say is that the power play. Oh my God. The power play on Friday looked legitimately functional. It's just the first time I've seen a power play with players wearing Flyers logos look functional in like 4 years. And then on Saturday, it was right back to everything I watched last year. Yeah. And to me, that was entirely because Friday they had Michkov and Saturday they didn't.
No, Saturday I was there with Ava Saturday. We were right on the glass, and it was much more of a relaxed, I'm not really going to tweet all that much sort of thing. Like, Michkov's not playing. Yeah. The building has half as many people in it. Yeah. But it was, I think, on maybe their second power play, I was just like, yeah, that's the Flyers power play again.
It's back.
Because they had the power play goal that Michkov scored on Friday.
It was a 5-on-3, but I'm not even talking 5-on-3. I guess last year's Flyers couldn't score on them anyway. But 5-on-3, you expect them to create and hopefully score. But even at 5-on-4 on Friday, even when they didn't score, they looked dangerous. They were creative.
They created some chances. Then they had the 6-on-5 goal.
Yes,
they did some things when they were in the offensive zone that you were like, well, this is very much what the Flyers need.
Yeah.
They need a guy who can do this, and he's doing it. Listen, it's against the Rangers rookies, too. It's not elite NHL talent, obviously, but again, we're looking for anything in terms of fixing this power play.
Not wrong.
We're looking for literally anything. What else stood out to you other than, the difference of with and without Michkov, the difference of Friday versus Saturday? They were clearly much better even in a loss on Friday. Any game stuff that really stuck out?
Let's start with Michkov, because obviously
let's just do Michkov. It's why people are here.
I think there's other things too. Like I want to talk about Jett Luchanko. I want to talk about some of the other forwards, some of the defensemen. I want to talk about Carson Bjarnson. So I think he was really good. But Michkov was the story of Friday. He played one of the 2 games. It was the first time he was in a formal game situation wearing a Flyers jersey. He's the reason why people came up. He's the reason why we gave out tickets. To me, the most impressive part about Michkov's game on Friday was the passing. When he had the puck, you just expected, and it'd be very quickly from the midpoint of the first period on, you would just expect he was going to make the right decision. And not just the right decision, the best decision. He was making moves with the puck. And I made this point about Sean Couturier before. I made it a ton with Claude Giroux. Yeah. Where when you watch games from up top, you can usually see what a player should do before he does it. Mm-hmm. And it's not because you are a hockey genius. It's because
it's very obvious.
It's very much easier to see it when you're watching from above. Everything looks slower. And it just, if you have a baseline level hockey knowledge, you can see like, oh, that guy's open, that guy's not, that guy's going to be open in about a half a second. He should do that play. What I love about the really smart players is that you see what play he should make, and he makes a better one. Yeah. He makes a play you didn't even see. And there were multiple times in this game where Michkov made a play with the puck that I would not have even thought was an option. And then it's like, it becomes a scoring chance because Michkov saw something that even with the benefit of being up top, I didn't see. And that really impresses me.
There's one out front to Luchanko that I still, maybe it didn't, I still don't know how he scored. There was like, I put in the outline, could have had 2 or 3 assists.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like very easily. It showed to me, it was the show you weren't on, so Thursday, the first on-ice day of rookie camp. Right. And we showed the 2-on-1 spinorama pass he used. And you look at that, and as just an outside observer, you go, oh, well, that's him, man. He's a flashy guy. Same thing why he pulls the Michigan and stuff. And it's really, he sees this more efficient way to get the puck, whether it's taking a shot or setting someone else up. He creates this play. Like, he uses it. It's not just to be flashy. It's very much a functional, well, I'm behind the net and I can just pick it up and put it in. Or like, if I do this spin, suddenly I'll have an extra 1.5 feet to get this pass on the angle it needs to go. And it's not like he did that in the game, but the slickness with the puck movement for a guy who we've said he's out there to score goals. Like, his primary,
I am going that on the goal.
Yeah, and we saw it. Like, I am going to put this in the net. His primary focus is like, I'm going to score. He was able to, whether it was taking shots himself, and he could have had a couple himself, or with some very slick passes, like you said, efficient, like seeing stuff that most guys don't see. He was a better playmaker than I expected, and that's for a team that's. I knew it was going to be good because he's just a really good player, but I just kind of was wondering, especially in his first game, he knows why everyone's there. Maybe he wants to do more. He wants to be a little bit more Owen Tippett, where it's like, you know what I'm doing. But it wasn't. It was whatever's open, man. If the shot's there, I'm taking it. And if I think I could thread a pass, I'm absolutely going to try to get it over there. And he was very good at both of those things.
Yeah, I was really excited how quickly the hockey IQ, the passing, how quickly that translated. It basically took him about 7 minutes to figure out everything. And then from that point on, he looked every bit of what I expected him to look like in that game. Now, again, and this is important to point out, this was against rookies and prospects and camp invites. The Rangers do not have a great prospect pool anyway. Some of their best prospects weren't even in this game. Like, Perreault was not in this game because he's in college still. So this was not high-end competition. But as we talked about last week, like, it would have been concerning if he didn't look this good because this isn't high-end competition yet. And he did look that good, and that's just a box checked. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. So he can still do it against this group. Now, in a week, we'll see him in his first preseason game against all guys who are a little bit more pro-ready, if not pros. Then further into preseason, we're going to see him against almost entirely pro teams.
NHL players.
Then regular season, we're going to see him against regular season final rosters, and we're going to see. But this was a box that he checked, and he checked it in ways that seem sustainable. Like, he played the things he was really good at in this game are things that I fully expect he will continue to be really good at even as the competition increases. The vision, the anticipation, the willingness. This was big. I loved the willingness, not that he was throwing hits, but he was willing to battle. He was willing to shake off checkers. On the goal, he knew he was getting bulldozed. And it didn't matter. It was just, I'm putting this puck in the net.
Putting the puck in the net.
And if I get knocked over after I put the puck in the net, it's worth it.
Goal still counts.
Because I put the puck in the net, and he gets up, he does the big celebration. But he had some really fantastic work behind the net with guys on top of him. You could see, we talked about how he's beefy up in the upper body. He showed it. And say what you will about the talent level on that Rangers roster. It might not have been the most talented team. It was a big team.
So Friday night I'm in the 6th row. Saturday I'm on the glass. Those dudes were freaking gigantic. That Edstrom guy.
He's quite large.
But the Rangers
and he wasn't the only one.
No, the Rangers have like 5 dudes who are like at least 6'4", 6'5". They have some monsters out there. And that's something I want to talk about with Emil Andrae that was really impressive as well.
But those are the guys that were leaning on him. And no, they're not NHLers, but if you're 6'7", it's going to be hard to play against them regardless, especially when you're in a small area where you can't use your speed and skill necessarily to just put the puck through his legs. He had those guys on top of him, and he's still making plays and making passes to Jett Luchanko and setting up scoring chances. Those are the types of things where you're like, okay. And that's what he's still going to be able to do when it becomes October 15th rather than September 15th.
And that's what, like when you said the sustainable, the things he excelled at looked sustainable. It's not as if he was just abusing some 7th rounder who's gonna play in the ECHL out there. Like, oh yeah, he poked it through his legs, took it on a breakaway, and scored twice that way. Like, it wasn't that. It was the thing that really stuck out: the small area game, fighting through contact, all those little things. Something else. I know we've joked like, oh, he's working on his English, and if he attacks it the way he attacks the net, man, he'll be fluent in like December. he was really talkative out there, directing traffic at faceoffs, just talking to his teammates. We've said, hockey language somewhat universal. Like, you go stand over there means the same thing in every language. There. Yeah. But he was definitely not a social passenger.
No, and he's not going to be.
He's take charge, even though he doesn't know any of these guys. He's been on the ice with them some, more the NHL guys, really. But he's been on the ice with some of these guys, and they've had informal practices. They started on the ice on Thursday at rookie camp, but he doesn't know these dudes. And we've said they don't have anyone who speaks Russian. He seemed to get along. He seemed to be able to communicate with them just fine.
I will say, number one, it was a great sign. And I did an interview. This is actually on allphly.com. Definitely check it out. I did a feature primarily on Igor Zamula about his growing friendship with Matvei Michkov. I'm really proud of the piece. Highly recommend you check it out. It's for diehards only, so just another reason for you to become a diehard.
Great sell.
But one thing that Zamula did say is that hockey is the universal language. I'm not concerned about that. He's going to find ways to talk to his line mates in a way that everyone can understand because it's hockey. It'll be fine. However, I am fascinated to see how this is all going to play out in NHL games. Because here's the thing. In rookie camp, and I'm not saying everybody was like this, Emil Andrae, for example, and I like this about Emil Andrae. When we interviewed him, we asked him about Michkov, and he basically said that he's super competitive, and I love that. I'm super competitive too. He didn't seem starstruck around Michkov. It's just like, oh yeah, another guy who I think I'm an NHL caliber player. Yeah, He's an NHL caliber player. Cool. We've talked to guys, and they seem legitimately starstruck about this guy. Where it's like, yeah, he's going to be a star, and I'm just trying to make it as a pro. Holy crap, this is so cool. Those are the kind of guys where if he tells one of them to go in that spot, they're going to do it. If he tries to do that game 2 in the NHL, I'm not saying that players are going to have a problem with it. I'm just saying I'm interested to see what the reaction is going to be if he tells Sean Couturier to go there,
And that might be where it's like you might need more communication. So after the game, they can say, well, I was seeing this, so I wanted you to go there. Yeah. And he's like, well, I saw something else. But them being like Sean Couturier, perfect example. We have no idea where he is, health, skill-wise, what he's going to be able to actually execute out there. But he didn't have a traumatic brain injury, He still thinks the game at a very high level. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, we've said, maybe Michkov plays with Frost, and you have that playmaker with the goal scorer, and they can kind of, that'll see, okay, and then we'll be able to see what Frost really has, because we'll have a line mate who's better than all that stuff. But especially for this time, maybe Sean Couturier is the best possible line mate because they can kind of speak the same language, not Russian, but hockey.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's good because I very much noticed that. I noticed that Michkov was directing traffic. Yes. He was before the face-off telling people where to go. And part of this too is that they didn't really practice the power play much. It's not like they have systems really. So he was more or less creating a system. Yeah. On the fly, because what else were they going to do? They did a little bit of practicing of the power play at morning skate on Friday, but nothing serious. Whereas in the NHL, they're going to have a power play system. They apparently have a power play coach in Rocky Thompson. So they're going to have things they are told to do. Yeah. So he's not going to be drawing up a play like you're playing football on the beach in the sand. But I am interested to see what is going to happen when Michkov sees something, and he probably will actually see it. It won't be him BSing. It's, hey, I'm a hockey genius, and I saw this. And he tells Joel Farabee, or he tells Tyson Forster, or he tells Garnet Hathaway what to do. These are guys that have been in the league for a while. And they have, and I don't think they're bad guys. I don't think any of them are. But you're a professional hockey player. You got an ego. You think you're the shit. You have to think that if you're an NHL player. You have to believe that you are good at what you do. And if Michkov is going to come in and tell them, no, you should do this because I say so, even though I'm 19 and have played 3 NHL games, I'm just curious to see how it's going to be received by his teammates.
And that's in the position he was in, especially on Friday, it's a bunch of guys who he's better than. And
obviously.
And on the power play especially, He's the point guard. Right. Like, he should be directing track. He is setting the thing up. He is telling everyone what's going to work for him.
And Ian LaPerriere straight up said before the game, Michkov is going to run the power play.
Well, who else? Who else would do it?
But apparently there was a moment. I missed this, but I think someone in the stadium put this in our Discord. There was apparently a moment where he got caught yelling at Sulku. Of basically like barking at him back to the bench, kind of like, you know, who knows if he was saying it in the little English he knows or Russian, but it was clear he was frustrated that Sulku, who was largely playing the net front spot on that power play, didn't do what he wanted him to do or what he saw. And again, fine, but also it'll be interesting when that guy is Travis connecting.
It will be. It absolutely will be. Listen, we have plenty more Michkov and rookie camp stuff to talk about, but got to take a quick second to tell you about Empire. That's right, 1-800-588-2300 Empire today. With Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring, so you know they've got copycats. But those copycats can't beat Empire today on quality, service, or speed. So what do? They just advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire today won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is just putting carpeting in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. The Empire philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. And the virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. All you have to do is snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details. While we're here, man, I gotta tell you, it's allergy season. Honestly, I had brunch outside yesterday morning, and it was like one of the worst mistakes I've ever made. Yikes. So you know what I did? I went to my local Rite Aid and got some of those over-the-counter options because, listen, I've told you, it's definitely fall allergy season now. We're into the midway through September. We know all the causes, the plants like sagebrush and pigweed, ragweed and mold, pet dander, all that stuff. And sometimes you just can't take the preventative steps, like staying inside. You know, you go to Rite Aid Reward, you sign up for Rite Aid's rewards emails at riteaid.com/rewards. They tell you, man, pollen alerts, it's going to be high. Maybe stay inside. It's like, oh, pretty nice day. Want to go have some brunch? Well, you got to stop by your local Rite Aid. Check out some of their over-the-counter options, like a nasal rinse to help flush out your nasal passages. And when symptoms are flaring or when you know that pollen counts are high, try antihistamines like Claritin or Rite Aid brand Claritin. Same thing, a little bit cheaper. Or the Zyrtec or Rite Aid brand as well. Sometimes you want to save a little money. You can do that with the Rite Aid brands. And 1 to 2 weeks before pollen allergies are expected to be high, you can always try nasal corticosteroids like Flonase or Nasacort, also both available in Rite Aid brands. Still not enough relief, still have questions? Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist if a different type of allergy medication like a decongestant might be necessary. And you can always ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for recommendations on ways to get relief during allergy season. All right, Chuck. Did Michkov, you said they were double shifting him in the third. Yeah. So perhaps just tired. Looked a little uncomfortable. I was a little scared.
So you tweeted that out.
I tweeted it out and scared the hell out of everyone.
I didn't notice anything. I
saw him. He went into the boards at one point and was kind of favoring his shoulder a little bit. Okay. And then after that, he was just bent over a couple times. But that could just be tired.
What I can tell you is that he practiced on Sunday. He practiced on Monday. So if he got banged up a little bit, he's fine.
Listen, it's a contact sport.
It's fine.
Getting hit hurts.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're just going to go, ow, that hurt my shoulder.
I did see you tweet that during the game. I didn't notice it. I guess everyone is just a little on edge.
I mean, he's the only guy I'm watching. Like, I'm not looking at the game. He's on the ice. And I saw him go into the boards, and I saw him come back to the bench a little uncomfortable. And then as he's out there, I'm like, it just doesn't.
And in fairness, you had a better view of the bench than me.
Yes,
I was on the side of the bench. Yeah. So you could only basically see the nameplates and the back of their heads. You were actually looking at the players.
Was right here for me,
yes.
and I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, look, I'm not watching the game at that point. I'm like, oh, is he okay?
Yeah, then you're worried.
And I think he was. It was just like, looked a little uncomfortable, but we're going to do this because it's
quite important to this whole thing.
He's the whole thing,
a little bit.
He's the whole thing, and we're going to overreact to every single problem. But it seems as if everything was okay. I may have been a little alarmist. I'm sorry, Flyers Twitter, if I scared everyone out there. But it's what I saw.
I think you might have given people a couple heart attacks. One thing I want to mention, though, about Michkov, because this probably was my biggest pleasant surprise about Michkov in this game. Because the passing, I've seen it. I've seen his vision, his anticipation, his hockey IQ, the nose for the net. I've seen it. The physicality. I think he's a bit stronger now, but he's always played with that edge, that dog in a bone kind of mentality. So none of that was surprising to me. What did jump out at me, honestly, he looks more than a half step quicker than he did last year. No, he was not as good of a skater as Jett Luchanko, who is a bullet. The name Jett, it is extremely appropriate. Everyone saw that. But Michkov looked quick. And I've always thought the skating knock was overblown on him. But you watched him in the KHL last year, and there were absolutely times where he looked sluggish. It very much seems like that was a product of the pneumonia. Because he looked much quicker in this game than he looked through large portions of the KHL season.
No, obviously, end-to-end, Jett Luchanko is going to beat him in a race. He is. That is his thing. It's why he got drafted where he got drafted. It is his speed. That said, there were plenty of times he's stride for stride with him. There were plenty of times Michkov was the first one in the zone. Yeah. He went into the corner. He was winning races. I was definitely... That was something I noticed, Luchanko's faster, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be here. But he wasn't so much faster that I was like, oh my God, Michkov is slow. I never thought Michkov looked slow.
Not even a single time. I went into this game thinking, at least to start his career, and maybe, as he gets on an NHL weight plan, everything like that, maybe he will get a little bit quicker. But my assumption going into this game was he'll probably start out his NHL career and he'll be about an NHL average skater. His edges will be better than average. His quickness, the first step might be good, but overall NHL average. I came into this game thinking, he might be day one an above average NHL skater. And that was more than I expected to see going into this game. He impressed me. The skating ability, to me, was the only surprise based on what I saw from him last year. And again, in retrospect, that was probably driven a lot by the fact that he wasn't 100% because he had pneumonia.
He couldn't breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have pneumonia, walking from your bedroom to the bathroom is really, really difficult. I can't imagine playing professional hockey.
And also, I'm sure that played into it. Also, we all saw the clips and videos and images on Instagram this summer. He worked out a lot.
He's working, man.
So maybe he has just gotten quicker because his lower body is stronger. He's done exercises. He's worked on that. And maybe this is just, 18 and 19-year-old Matvei Michkov just got half step quicker by working his tail off.
Absolutely possible. We've always said, one of the reasons we think him and Tortorella aren't going to clash the way some people do is he's gonna see the competitor, he's gonna see the work ethic, and he rewards those things.
He does.
And he just happens to also have incredible skill. So it's he works like Ryan Poehling and then scores. Yeah. That sounds like something he's gonna like. But that really stood out to me. But I've always liked, I'm glad you pointed out the edge work, because his ability to fight through contact and, like I said, the small area game and just balance. I guess balance is what I'm trying to that's always been fine. Yeah. It's literally just the speed, the jump.
Yeah.
And if he has a little bit of that, then he is a very good, if not very good, at least fine skater.
Yeah, yeah. There was one sequence, I think it was in the first period, it was pretty early in the game, that really jumped out at me. And this isn't even just skating. This is, again, the hockey IQ element. He took a pass in the neutral zone in a spot where most players would have stopped and just surveyed and decided what they were going to do. He took the pass in motion, kept moving, maneuvered a little bit, and then in motion sent a pass down the ice, which sent two of his teammates in, I believe, on a 2-on-1. And it was just very fluid. And number one, it showed his hockey IQ because it allowed him to create separation from the checker to give him more space to make the pass and to give his line mates a chance to get down the ice so he could lead them. But it also showed the skating ability because he had the ability to separate with the skating ability, with the edge work, with the lateral movement. It was a very impressive play that didn't create a goal, wasn't going to get him an assist, but jumped out at me as,
hockey play.
That's Matvei Michkov.
I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to this season. Everyone knows I really love Charlie's work. I think your X's and O's video stuff is some of the best stuff in all of hockey.
And I think we're going to have some help on that this year from Petey, from the former Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes
that's
coverage.
Outstanding.
He's going to do some help on that front. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more of that this year.
Just because we actually have a guy who this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
The videos are good. I can't wait. Oh yeah, listen, the Sean Couturier, that I learned so much about hockey reading your early Sean Couturier stuff. Look at what he did in the neutral zone here.
Just open.
This is going to be and then he put the puck in the net. It's going to be so much freaking fun. But I think that'll mostly do it for Michkov today.
Yeah, we've got a lot of other players to talk about.
A lot of guys played in these 2 games up in Allentown on Friday and Saturday.
And a lot of them look quite good.
They did. I was impressed by more, for someone who's down overall on the quality of prospects, impressed by what I saw, especially Friday.
Yeah, I do want to get, at the end, I want to get to an interesting comment we got from Brent Flahr on Sunday about the negatives. And I want to theorize this with you since you saw both games as well. You were there. But before we get to the negatives, let's talk about the good. Because there was a lot of good, aside from Michkov.
This part of the outline is titled Guys I Liked.
Guys I Liked.
That's literally, and I really want to start it with someone I did not expect to be starting with, Carson Bjarnson.
Really? Yeah, he had a really good game. It was 2 really good games, actually.
Just poise and a rebound vacuum.
Yeah.
He was just in the right spot, and very much if it was in the glove, he squeezed it. If it was in front of him, he got on top of it. He seemed to just eat up rebounds and never looked panicked, never looked out of position. I was just very, very happy, considering we've talked about Carson Bjarnson, and he's one of these prospects that they're trust us. We see something.
Yeah.
And it's well, his numbers are bad. We see something.
And
I see it too.
And it's hard for people to do that when you're dealing with an organization that has been mediocre to bad it's been bad for the last few years. Yeah. It's been mediocre for over a decade. Yes. It's hard for people to just take it on faith that we're right about this guy. The numbers, I know you haven't watched him that much. Trust me, he'll be good. Yeah. It's hard to take them on faith, especially when, and this is something I said to you off air, if anything, and I, at development camp, I do my big stories on dev camp. I do. I do the stories because I really enjoy it. It's the first time you get to see a lot of these guys really up close because I'm covering the team. I'm not following prospects around. I'm not watching tape like the real prospect crazy people are. I just don't have the time. I'm covering a hockey team. So I get to see people up close in development camp. I do my analyses, but generally speaking, if a guy looks really bad at dev camp, I usually don't bury him for it because my thing is, number one, they're just kids. Number two, they might have been working on something the entirety of dev camp. I don't want to say this guy stinks because he wasn't good, even if it turns out that the entire time, actually, he was working on one specific skill and that he hasn't mastered. And actually, the Flyers were perfectly happy with the fact that he struggled because they know what the point of that camp was for him. So I try to avoid being mean to guys at development camp. Carson Bjarnson was really bad at development camp. Yeah. And I think most of the people who went to development camp came away, especially from the scrimmage, thinking, oh God, this guy looks like a bust. He stunk. He was bad. And I came away from that development camp thinking, oh boy, they might have blown this pick. He went to the World Junior Showcase for Team Canada in Plymouth in August. I did not watch basically any of it. I saw some clips, but I did not watch it. Everyone I talked to that did watch it said he was very good, that he was one of the better goalies. I was interesting, because a couple weeks before that, he looked like a guy with an ECHL goalie ceiling. He looked terrible. I can see why he looked good in Plymouth, because so far at this camp, he has been one of the 4 or 5 most impressive players of this rookie camp. And in the games, I think you can make the case Not over Michkov, probably not over Luchanko. You can make a strong case he was the third most impressive Flyer in these 2 rookie games over the weekend.
He was surprisingly good just because, listen, it's a goalie that they drafted a year ago. I have no idea.
Second round pick.
Second round pick that, like, you see his numbers in Brandon and you go, yeah.
And Brandon is a bad team.
They're bad.
They're
Exactly.
bad. They don't give him a lot of help. But everything I heard, and then it was cemented by what I saw in development camp, was that it wasn't just the team. He was very inconsistent. He would have a good period and then a terrible period. He would give up really weak goals. That, yeah, there's a base athleticism and talent level there, but he is nowhere near putting it all together. And I think the Flyers know he's nowhere near putting it all together. But it's been really cool over these last couple days. And I'm even including the practices.
I'm including the camp days.
Thursday, Friday, Sunday, today. He looks good. He's up to 6'4" now. I guess he gained an inch over the summer over the last year. So he's tall. He's got the athleticism. I totally agree with you that the rebound control was strong. There were very few times he gave up a bad rebound.
Yeah.
He was swallowing pucks. And from what I heard from Brent Flahr when I talked to him in early September, that's a lot of what they told him. Was just, you have all this natural ability. You have the size. You have the athleticism. Play to your strengths.
Stop putting yourself. Yeah.
Don't try to be something you're not. And it seems like it may be clicking for him. And that's exciting.
We both agree they played much better Friday. But yes. You said, like, oh yeah, it took like Michkov 7 minutes maybe to figure it all out. The first 6, 7, 10 minutes of the first period on Friday was spent primarily in the Flyers zone.
It sure was.
And this game could have been 3-0.
Sure could have been.
And he played really well to keep it able to eventually get to overtime.
And he did the same thing in
the first period.
On Saturday in the first period, because the Flyers were terrible in the first period. But they didn't. I think they didn't give up a goal. They didn't give up their first goal until the second. He shut them out in the first period, and they spent probably 70% of that period in the Flyer zone. All right. And Bjarnson was great. Had a great game. Had two great games. 4 great periods.
4 periods.
Well, 5 if you count overtime.
And overtime, yeah. Let's go to Jett.
Jett.
Luchanko, speed as advertised. He's not small.
No.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. He's about average NHL size, but he's strong.
Yes, very.
He's got strength.
The way he held up in battles and stuff, like for a dude who is basically, would be starting his senior year of high school.
It is.
Like,
he just turned 18.
Turned 18 in August. Yeah, like pretty impressive stuff for him, I thought. Not maybe Michkov, but we never, Michkov's a pro already.
There were times
he was right with him.
Insignificant amount of people in my mentions, especially on Friday, probably through the first 2 periods. The third period was when Michkov really became Michkov.
Yes.
He was every single shift, he was doing crazy stuff. And I think that chatter died down a bit after the third. Through the first 2 periods, I had a lot of people I mentioned saying Luchanko looks better than Michkov. I think Michkov was the best player of the weekend. But Luchanko pops, and he's always going to pop because of the skate.
Yes.
And if you are someone, we talked about this last week, if you are someone who is purely going by the eye test of like, who made me jump out of my seat the most, the guy who's the fastest skater is going to do that exponentially more than pretty much everybody else, because fast skating is very noticeable.
You see it. Like, that guy's behind him now.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. But like for people who have been dying for this team, like going back to freaking Alexander Daig when we were children, Charlie.
Right.
Like, can we please just get faster? All we are is muckers and grinders, and we're trying to forecheck. Can we just win a race?
Yeah, all 6'4" centers that can't skate.
Like, you know what Jett Luchanko is going to do? Win a lot of races.
Oh, he is.
He is going to be a. We compared him a little bit, I think, to Voracek like a week ago.
Did you? I would.
I feel
he doesn't have the size.
Just the ability to create zone entries. I feel like we talked about.
I think he could be a zone entry machine if he develops his instincts a little bit more. Because sometimes he takes bad routes, and you saw that occasionally. Yeah. Sometimes he fumbled the puck away, got knocked away from him. There were moments. The reason why I very much contend that you can't argue that Luchanko was better than Michkov is because Michkov probably, if he had 50 puck touches, he did the right thing on 45 of them. Whereas Luchanko did the right thing on 30.
There was, at this point, clearly nowhere near the offensive or just puck decision instincts of Matvei Michkov. Yes. But like that's why people think Matvei Michkov was
going to win the Calder.
Was closer to 1 than he was to 3, you know, in terms of guys who should have been drafted if you were just going on pure talent in his draft year. Yeah. I was impressed though I was happy that the hands thing. Like, all right, he doesn't have stone hands.
No, he definitely doesn't.
He doesn't. Okay,
no, absolutely.
That was just one of those things that came out of dev camp. Like, oh man, he loses the puck a lot, and like he
did lose the puck a lot.
He did have some fumbles,
but he also did a lot of things with the puck too.
He also it wasn't just that.
And I think that's the conundrum with Jett Luchanko. And this is something I noticed dating back to my draft research before the Flyers took him. Is that it's not that he can't make plays with the puck. He does sometimes. Is that he doesn't do it consistently. And the Flyers in him see a guy who will start doing it consistently, give him a couple more years, and he's going to, instead of making the correct pass, the really good pass, 3 times out of 10, he's going to make it 7 times out of 10, and then suddenly he's a top 6, if not top line caliber center. Yeah. That's what they think. Other people watch him, and they're like, yeah, speed's great, strength, he's got the instincts, he plays a smart game, but the puck skills are spotty. And in this game, they were spotty, but when he does the right thing, he really does the right thing.
And that's because of that inconsistency. Like, you watch him play, and I think this is a conversation that you've had, and we'll have it plenty as main camp begins and we see a little bit more Jett Luchanko. I think he could hold his own in the NHL. Like, not be a top 6 player.
I don't disagree with you, actually.
I think he could hold his own as a bottom-of-the-lineup guy. But I've said a lot of times with guys like Luke Schenn, I think there was more there, and they told him just do that thing you're good at, and then he did that thing he was good at and never did anything else. Now, it eventually worked out for Sean Couturier. Like,
I think it probably took longer than it would have otherwise.
Because Sean, it was like, man, just check. Yeah. Just check, and you'll be all right, Sean. And it took him till he was
like 25.
Yeah, like 25, and he started it like 2 months before he turned 19. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it was, I think that's the conundrum with, like, yeah, maybe it would be fun if he made the team, got the 9-game trap, but for his overall development, as much as, yeah, man, I want the new shiny toy, and I want him to make the team because we got to do, 82 plus preseason post games, probably. Like, I want to do this stuff, but I think it might actually make sense for him to do that dominate your level thing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that he could, if you wanted him to, he could hold his own as a third line checking center who does, because he was great. I thought 5-on-5, he was mostly good, made some mistakes, did a lot of good things. I thought on the penalty kill, he was incredible.
Yes.
Like, he could be a really good penalty killer in the NHL right now, I think. I think the speed, the physicality, the willingness to mix it up, the defensive instincts, he could be a good penalty killer in the NHL right now. And if the Flyers were a Stanley Cup contending team right now, I would be like, get him on this team. Let him be Ryan McLeod for you, and let him get 12 minutes a night, play a role, and over time, hopefully he'll grow into being a bigger offensive threat. Flyers are nowhere near a Stanley Cup team, and because of that, I would rather him go down to the OHL, where there's way more space, and he can foster the creative parts of his game. Because I don't want him to just top out as Ryan McLeod, as a good third-line center. I want him to top out as a really good top 6 center, and if best case scenario, he ends up being a 1C, that's the dream. I don't know if he has that ceiling, but I want to give him every opportunity to try to foster his creativity and his puck skills to get to that point. And if he doesn't, I don't want to think 6 years down the road that, man, if they wouldn't have rushed him to the NHL, who knows what Jett Luchanko would have become. I don't think there is any incentive really to rush him to the NHL. And I thought Brent Flahr on Sunday put a lot of cold water on that idea. I straight up asked him, and I went into that press conference. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get Brent Flahr on Sunday. I wanted to ask him about this Jett Luchanko thing. Is there a chance he gets the 9-game tryout? And he basically said, look, can't rule anything out. I want him to be pushing for it because I want him to be motivated this camp. But it's a big stretch to think he's making this team this year. I can't see a scenario where he makes his team, even for the 9-game audition. I just don't see it. I know that was chatter on Twitter, and I get it.
Yeah,
he's an exciting
it's
player.
fun.
He's an exciting player, and he looked good, especially on Friday, especially with Michkov. He looked good. But I don't think this is his time yet.
I think it's one of the, like you said, if they were Stanley Cup contender, yeah. It's one of those what's best for him, not what's best for a year in which, the president of the team is like, yeah, if we make the playoffs, cool, but that's not what matters.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have plenty more guys that we like to get to, but before we do that, I got to tell you about Shady Rays. I'm wearing my Shady Rays. It wasn't even that bright out today, but I just can't leave the house without them. I love wearing my Shady Rays. I think you will too. You got to get ready for all seasons with quality shades built to last. And our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. When I tell you about crystal clear optics, you can tell I'm reading this off a screen right now. These are polarized sunglasses, not messing with my eyes at all. That's how great Shady Rays products are. And if that's not enough, Shady Rays, backed by the most insane protection in all of eyewear. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, you don't have to sweat it. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. And if you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Now you have your sunglasses, and maybe you're looking to complete that outdoor adventure. You got to do it with a Rugged Road cooler. I think I saw quite a few Rugged Roads in line to get in today. Before I came into the studio, I had to drop off a couple friends who were going to the game. I was like, yeah, why not? I'm going to Philly anyway. I'll give you a ride. You got to find your own way back. Good luck with that. But they had Rugged Road coolers on them. I think I saw quite a few out there. The perfect tailgate accessory, because Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. What makes them so great? Well, it's the design. First of all, floatable. Designed to always float upright so you never lose a drink. And they're lightweight. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising performance. And that performance is guaranteed to keep the contents cold for up to 7 days, and oftentimes much longer. And they're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used, Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use code PHLY for 10% off. Do it.
Do it.
It's tailgate season, baby. It's tailgate season.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that are tailgating right now at the link.
I saw Dylan's setup. It looks so good.
It looks so good.
I'm so hungry.
Wish I was there. But we're doing this for you.
We're doing it for you.
For you.
And because, we get paid too.
That's true. It's part of it.
Samu Tuomaala. I don't know if he was consistently awesome, but he did some real fun stuff out there. He is creative. He's smart. He's skilled. It might be, it might be a whole nother year, but there's something there. He is very, very skilled.
There is absolutely something there. One thing that I found fascinating was that I came away from Friday's game feeling really good about Samu Tuomaala. I thought he was one of the better players in the ice. Ian LaPerriere was nowhere near as impressed. Ian LaPerriere basically said, he did some good things. He did some things I really didn't like, though. He said that before Saturday's game. So I watched him closer in Saturday's game because I'm like, hey, I watched the guy on Friday who I thought, he's off to a really good start to this camp. Saturday, you watch him closer. Yeah, there's things he needs to clean up. One thing that Lappy said today, because we didn't get him on Sunday back in Voorhees, we talked to Brent Flahr. Today, we got Lappy. Lappy said something interesting. And I do think that Tuomaala has improved in this area relative to where he was right after being drafted, the early viewings I had of him. But apparently they still think he needs to improve more. He said one of the big contrasts between Michkov and Tuomaala, and they're not, Michkov is definitely more built in the upper body, but they're not totally dissimilar in terms of body type. They're smallish guys. They're not huge. So the big difference between the two is that when Michkov goes below the goal line in the corners, he goes in with purpose. He goes in, I'm getting that puck. And if he doesn't get that puck, I'm going to hound the guy I'm going to hound the guy who does have the puck, and I'm just going to keep pushing and keep trying to get that puck. He's dogged. He wants that puck. Whereas Tuomaala goes into the corner. He's like, well, if I get the puck, that's great. If not, no big deal. They don't like that about him. They want him to play with more consistent compete and more consistent intensity. And I think it's because I don't know if I see a guy in Tuomaala who has the skill to be a top 6 forward. I think if he makes it, it's going to be probably as like a third liner. And if you're playing on the third line, it's a bottom 6 role. Yeah, you might see some games on line 2 if you're hot, you're scoring, they move you up. But if at the end of the year, you're probably, 9th or 10th on the forward minutes per game chart, you're going to have to play with some jam. And I think they want to see him play with some more jam. I thought on Saturday's game, like a lot of players, his game took a dip. I thought he turned the puck over more. I didn't think he was as strong on the puck as he was on Friday. He didn't have as many flash plays. He had a couple plays on Friday where he was dangling through the defense, and you stood up, and you're just like, man, this kid's got some skill. Saturday, you didn't see that as much. And then, unfortunately, and this is something I'm going to be talking about, I talked about in my post-practice notes video yesterday, a new post-practice notes video on today's practices will be up probably around 6-ish, I would say. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel for that.
Yeah, Charlie.
It's coming. But some bad news for Tuomaala. He's been out the last 2 days. So he scored the game-winning goal in overtime of Saturday's game. That was cool. Good job. Well done. Seemed okay. We interviewed him. Seemed fine. Sunday was banged up. They said he was day-to-day. Today, still wasn't out there. So now you're looking at a guy who I thought came into this camp with the possibility of taking a run at the job. Was okay, but apparently did not impress Ian LaPerriere that much in the 2 games. And this is a guy who coached him last year. He knows Samu Tuomaala.
And is very high on him.
He's very high on him. And then he missed 2 days practice. He's probably not hitting main camp with a lot of momentum. And I think he needed to hit main camp with a lot of momentum to have a real shot. I liked what I saw on him, especially Friday, but it's worth pointing out I don't think the Flyers liked it as much as I did.
Speaking of playing with jam, Emil Andrae.
He plays with jam.
The offensive instincts, the first pass, like all that stuff is apparent, and you see it, and it's like, okay, I get why John Tortorella last year was like, well, he does something none of our defensemen do, so I need him even though he's not ready.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, there was one shift specifically where he was just battling with a 23-year-old, so about 16 months older than him, 6'7", 240-pound Rangers prospect, Adam Enstrom. And he was holding his own. He was going toe-to-toe with this behemoth. He wasn't getting ragdolled.
He's giving up 10 inches to Adam Enstrom.
He was going at him and doing a pretty damn good job at it. And I was like, that's it. Andrae is 16 months younger, 5'9", 189.
50 pounds and 10 inches.
He looked fine in a battle against this guy. Like, I was very impressed with Emil Andrae. Again, obviously, the offensive stuff, that's what is going to be his calling card, but you need more than that. Like, we saw it with Shane Gostisbehere. Coaches turn on you if you're just getting ragdolled in front of the net. And I don't know if that's ever going to be Emil Andrae doing what Hunter McDonald does. But, like, his willingness to at least go toe-to-toe with this giant man who's like, I'm 6 rows up and he's as tall as I am, was really, really impressive.
Yeah, Andrae, I thought was, I wouldn't quite say very good on Friday, but I thought he was... I think he would have gotten a solid B+ for me on Friday. I thought he had a legitimately good game on Friday, did a lot of good things with the puck. The compete level was there. He looked good on the power play. I liked his game on Friday. Saturday's game was fascinating because I thought the first 2 periods he was trash. I thought he was bad. And he ends the second period. He has a really, really weak play on the boards. It's a 5-minute major power play. He pinches down and he just tosses the puck to no one. Yeah. It goes to a Ranger who then sends another Ranger going down the ice. They score a shorthanded goal. That was on Andrae. It was a lazy play, and I hated that. And I was typing up that intermission. I was typing up a scathing article, not an article, but like the section on him was like, man, he just didn't have it on Saturday. It was not embarrassing, but it was a bad showing for him. That third period, he came back And he had one of his best periods of the weekend, especially defensively. On Saturday, he made a ton of defensive stops. The compete level was back up. He was deflecting passes. He was breaking up entries. He was everywhere. And then he has a fantastic pass to set up Samu Tuomaala's goal in overtime for the game winner. He can't have the 2 periods he had on Saturday if he wants to make the team. And Ian LaPerriere said that. He's like, look, he's going to make mistakes. We get that. He can't make as many mistakes if he wants to be an NHL player. But I love the ability to turn the page. I love the fact that whatever he said to himself or whatever the coaches said to him at that second intermission, he was able to reset on the fly and come out and have a great third period. That told me a lot about him mentally, that this kid's got some mental toughness, and I like that. I'd rather him have a great 60-minute game and not have to utilize that mental toughness, but I like the fact that he turned it around in rather than just turn 2 bad periods into 3 bad periods, and then I write that scathing rip of him in my article. I had to change my entire view of that game and change my entire paragraph of that article to say, third period, though, Emil Andrae showed up. I like that.
I just want to mention, I know I doubt he's going to make your list, guys I liked.
Okay.
Sawyer Boulton was fun.
I mentioned him in my post-practice notes video yesterday. He had a play in yesterday's practice where he deked Alexis Gendron out of his skates. Alexis Gendron fell down, and then Bolton rips one top shelf, and the entire bench and team starts going nuts. Everybody's banging their sticks along the boards. He's having a good camp.
He really is fun to watch.
He's having a good camp.
He's definitely a guy that I can see, like, yeah, the boys love him.
Yeah.
He's throwing his body around out there. He contributed a little offensively, which was nice to see.
He scored a goal.
Yeah.
Great pass for Zay Wisdom on Saturday to set him up.
Both guys definitely need a little boost.
They do.
For someone who, I think it was on Friday's show, we were like, listen, Sawyer Boulton is going to be, I guess people were tweeting you about him, and you're like, yeah, whatever.
He's going to do stuff.
Yeah, he does stuff,
he sure
man.
does.
He's absolutely really fun out there.
Well, I think the reason why, number one, he's a physical guy. He fights. He drops the gloves. He hits. His father is Eric Bolton, who was an NHL enforcer, so he's got an NHL pedigree. What you got to remember, though, about Sawyer Boulton is this. Number one, he doesn't have an NHL contract. He's on an AHL-only deal. So for him to even have a chance to make the NHL, he's got to earn an NHL contract. So that's a big thing that he still has to check before we can even talk about him as a potential Flyer. Number two, and this is like, look, I know I'm a stat guy, but when a guy had 5 points in 40 games in his final year in the OHL, like, those guys, he's a forward. He's not even a defenseman. Those guys don't pan out.
There might be
basically ever.
There might be goalies who outscore. So I just thought he was fun to watch.
He was noticeable. He had a good game, especially on Saturday, and he's looked pretty good in practices. I am not denying that. I'm just saying I'm very skeptical that he has an NHL future, but I will absolutely give him credit. He was noticeable, and I thought he played well, especially on Saturday. Scored a goal. He's had a good camp. Good for you, Sawyer. Good job.
Before we wrap up today's show, I just want to thank all of our diehards. We could not do what we do here at PHLY without our subscribers. Thank you all so much.
Let's do some quick hits for a couple other players, because I think we got a couple.
It looked like
more than a few super chats.
Spencer Gill, I just see what you said. I see why you said.
I see what you see.
Like,
I feel what you feel.
It might be a boat. Like,
might be a boat.
I don't know what it was, but I enjoyed watching him.
He did some good things. He had that great play at the end of regulation on Friday to save the empty net goal.
That was where he dove across.
It was a 2-on-1 with no goalie, and he stopped both guys.
Yeah.
That was a play that was memorable. I thought Gill, on the whole, had a really good rookie game. Both games. I thought he was solid. There's potential there.
Hunter McDonald was whatever. But I really appreciated that anybody who hit one of Hunter McDonald's line mates then had some sort of physical retribution taken out on him. Yeah. And it did not matter if it was, you're going to get called for interference here. I don't care.
Yeah.
It was, that's Hunter McDonald.
I think my thoughts on Hunter McDonald was he wasn't as good defensively as I thought he was going to be. He showed me more offensively than I thought he would. His passing, I thought, was better than expected. He was good on the short passes. He had some longer passes. He had one play, I believe it was on Friday, where he went end to end and looked pretty good doing it. Offensively, he showed me more than I expected. Defensively, physically, he's strong. He's physical. He got burned a couple more times than I was hoping to see him get burned. And he's got to clean that up because that's going to be his calling card if he makes it. But offensively, he showed me more than I expected.
No, if your thing is you kill plays,
got to kill all the plays.
When you hit the dude, he needs to be stable to the boards, and the puck is there, and your teammate comes up behind you and takes the puck the other way.
You got to kill all the plays, and he didn't kill all the plays.
Not. What else? You had some. Was there anyone else who stood out to you, or do you want to do the negatives, or just skip right to the super
negatives
chats?
Real quick?
Okay.
Because I want to have a little conversation about this. So on Sunday, Brent Flahr dropped an interesting little tidbit, which was there were some guys I'm not happy with, and we're going to talk to them. This was post-rookie games. Who do you think they could be? Because he made it clear, it's not Michkov, it's not Luchanko. He liked what he saw from Gill. He straight up said that. I think he liked what he saw from Andrae overall. I have a theory as to one guy I think he could have been talking about. Maybe it was Tuomaala, because Tuomaala, Lappy did say, wasn't good enough. I'm curious who you think he could have been talking, because it wasn't the Sawyer Boultons. It was guys who they have expectations
for. Guys who they think are going to be somebody.
Yes.
Was it Oliver Bonk?
I don't think so, because I think they love him too much.
Okay.
Here's my theory. Even though he scored a big goal on Friday, I wouldn't be surprised if they were expecting more from Rizzo.
I also was hoping to put Massimo Rizzo's name on the guys I liked list, and he's not here.
And he scored the game-tying goal.
Yeah, he did. There was just... I feel like he had a few turnovers in his own end.
Yeah.
There was just, for a guy who we were like, listen, he's a man.
Yeah.
He's physically ready. If someone's going to make this team as a surprise, it could be him. His preseason's going to have to be a whole lot different than what that was.
Yeah, I thought in particular with him, I thought that when he was playing the role of center down low in the defensive zone, he did not look good. And I came away from Friday's game especially thinking, yeah, this guy ain't a pro center. And maybe he's a pro wing. I don't think he looked like a pro center in those games.
What do we need?
They could use some centers, especially some skilled centers.
All right, let's hit the super chats. Oh, wow, 4 of them today. Okay.
There were quite a few.
Let's get to Gary B. Hey, Bill and Charlie. I was at practice yesterday. Charlie was hoping to meet you, but only there we go. Was hoping to meet you, but only media was allowed upstairs.
Yeah,
Michkov and Jett looked solid. Yeah, you got to get a
press pass.
You got to just
they got the little line that goes across the stairs.
Got to make a counterfeit laminate to meet Charlie.
You can see me on the perch sometimes though. I'm watching.
Wave to him.
Not the important perch, not the one with Torts and all those guys, but the media perch, the one far off to the side.
All right, let's go to Corey's super chat. Says, do we think Mitch outscores Bedard's rookie season? I know Bedard missed some time with a broken jaw. I think he had like 61 and 68, something like that.
I'm looking up because I don't remember what his point totals were.
I believe
61 and 68, 22 goals. So, I mean, if Michkov stays healthy, that's about what I'm expecting.
I know it was juiced a little to the over, but like Vegas usually gets this stuff right, and it was like 47.5. Now, for us as Flyers fans, we want more, but Bedard's rookie year seems about, if it's more than that, let's go, baby.
I mean, because this number is 61 and 68. That's close to point per game. If Michkov is close to point per game, we're throwing a party here. Yes. We are ecstatic for that to be his rookie year at age 19 going into 20. If he plays 82 games, though, could I see him getting around 60? Yeah, I think that's like a reasonably optimistic projection.
I was going to say reasonable optimism is like the 60-65 range. Yeah. All right, let's go to from Stuart Miller. Any shot Bjarnson makes Team Canada for World Juniors now?
Yes, I think he has a very good chance.
I think Brent Flahr mentioned it in your interview with him. Like, it's an outside chance. We're hoping, we're hoping it goes that way. Like,
let me put it this way, and I know Brandon is not a good team.
Yeah,
if he plays the way he played in those rookie games in Brandon, even if the numbers aren't that good, he's making that team because this Carson Bjarnson looks like a stud. Now, again, he's inconsistent. Maybe he's having a hot streak at the right time, and maybe. But if this is the new normal for him, if he's figured something out, yeah, I think he'll make the team. I think he's in the mix. He obviously was at the showcase in Plymouth in August, so he's under consideration. but there are other good goalies under consideration, so he's not a lock.
That's
the thing. But yeah, and he shot, absolutely has a shot. Yeah, he's very much in the
We're talking about Team Canada, while every other position, it's like, oh yeah, they have all the best players in the world. Like they've had summits recently where it's like, why aren't we making goalies anymore? So it's not as if there's 12 superstars ahead of him.
Yeah. There's no Carey Price.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to JH. Says, thanks for hosting a great meetup, even though I was really late. LFG Flyers and much Muck the Fets. There we go. Yeah, we hate the Mets. The new Briera of Orange is here. Yeah, again, shout out to Brew Daddies. It was a ton of fun, and thanks for coming out, JH. Thanks for everyone who came out this weekend. It was a great time getting to meet everybody. And finally, from Adam S., besides Demidov, is Montreal's prospect pool overrated?
Look, I'm not saying I'm an expert on Montreal's prospect pool.
I have no idea.
But they have some good prospects. I think Lane Hutson's going to be cool.
Sounds like he's
David
really
Reinbacher.
good.
I think he was overdrafted at 5, but I think he's going to be a rock solid top 4 defenseman. I don't get the sense people are viewing them as this, the best prospect pool in the league. They think it's a good prospect pool, and I think it is a good prospect pool.
I think people's maybe excitement or optimism about it, it's like, and they have good young players in Suzuki and Caulfield too.
True.
Who have obviously graduated from prospect rankings, but it's not as if they're 27.
True. Yeah, they have good young guys. They have Logan Malou, who they took in the first round, in weird circumstances.
My guy, Xhekaj.
Oh, Xhekaj. Yeah, he's youngish. They have guys. I don't know where they're ranked. I gather that Flyers fans now, especially the ones on Twitter, very much do because they're in an open war with Montreal fans. I have not spent that much time getting to know Montreal's prospect system, but I think it's a good prospect pool.
And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on YouTube. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. It's our new time, 4 to 5 every day for non-game days. Maybe forever. So
we'll all get used to it. It's a change we had to make because practices, especially during camp, but even practices as well. There's no way 1 p.m. is going to work during the season.
Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast as well. Just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. My name's Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
We all silly like the mayor.